Welcome to the Value Wrestling Podcast. I'm the big time BT Baldwin. This is my tag team partner,
Paulus Clark,
and we are here to give you the best value in pro wrestling, sports entertainment today. We are here to be a part of the IWC community, the best. We vow value back into wrestling. Let's go over the SummerSlam card. We got done watching it. Overall, a decent show, I think. I won't even say. I don't think it was all that decent. I mean,
uninspired seems to be a more appropriate term.
well, lack of direction. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, there was no, I don't feel like, okay, well, I guess we should just break down match by match and see what we're seeing. I mean, there's a few storylines that I could perceive that are a possibility of what we're doing, but at the same time, I just feel like it was very lacklusterly presented and we didn't really get the big push. Like, firstly, it's SummerSlam. It's the party that's the biggest party of the summer, as advertised by WWE. And this year, it wasn't just SummerSlam, the biggest party of the summer. It was SummerSlam, you'll never see it coming. And I think we were let down in that. I don't think, I don't know what they were trying to pitch us there, other than what happened at the end of the show, which was still kind
We'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, I mean, that was a little disappointment. Let's start off. SummerSlam opening hot. Bayley versus Asuka for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I'll say this. First, the Thunderdome looks great in the spectacle of it all. The lights, the entrances, the smoke, the fireworks, everything they do as the entrance is happening looks great. When the lights come out and all the fans are sitting there, it's okay from a distance when they're trying to show the match, but when they get up close, that's not my thing. It's like, ugh. It takes away. I don't know. It's weird.
The only time
I guess I'm not used to it. Maybe
that could be, in my opinion, the only time you should show the fan screens that close is after a victory, just to show like, okay, people are reacting to what just happened.
Yeah.
But in between, there's no
But
point.
if you're going to show the fans reacting to it, then you got to get your soundtracks to like sink in because they were using that track.
And they said they were going to do that.
No, I know they're going to pump in the sound, you know, and I'm looking at it going, they didn't match a lot. I mean, the cheering that, a lot of those matches that went down at the end of victory, the cheering was, you know, that's one thing I noticed that now looking back and thinking about it, is that we didn't really hear, we heard a constant cheer and a constant buzz, but when the big moments hit or the end of the match came, you know, it wasn't there. It wasn't like, you didn't feel like, yeah, you saw the people clapping, and I don't know if they're like being told to clap or whatnot, because it was kind of like, yeah, it looked, people were like,
golf clap.
well, yeah, but I mean, nobody, I didn't feel like anybody as a fan was like, yeah! So anyways, we had Asuka and Bayley, definitely a back-to-back match, and it kind of ended, it was a back-to-forth match. They weren't the best match of either stars time, and it was just kind of a, I don't know, the ending to me was lackluster because you had Asuka do her butt bump into the ropes. She knocked Sasha Banks off the apron, knocked her down, and missed Bayley because Bayley was against the ropes, and Asuka came in, and Bayley got down. Yeah, and she hit Sasha, who was on the outside of the ring, on the apron, knocked her down. And as Asuka was turning to see what happened to Sasha, Bayley got the schoolboy roll up 1, 2, 3, in kind of like I don't know. It was like the match was going, and it was just kind of like, ooh, we're done. And it was like, I don't know, like I don't know if the storytelling was there. I mean, I would have Bayley winning was kind of what I figured needed to happen. Bayley needed to win the match. Storyline wise, I would think I don't see Asuka. Why Asuka? If Asuka were to beat Bayley, then you know Sasha would have beat Asuka later, and that would have made sense. So coming into it, I pretty much had to, you know, say that Asuka was gonna, or Bayley was gonna win that first match, but it was still kind of not like. I still feel like there was something missing. Like, you know, Sasha took the hindrance of it well, which does kind of lead into a storyline that we'll talk later. But I mean, it was just kind of lackluster.
Yeah, it just didn't have the emotional impact an event like SummerSlam requires. And it's like, you can sit there and blame COVID, you know, and say there's a lot of things you can say, but the bottom line is performers in the ring have to make it work. and they, for whatever reason, just couldn't tonight.
Well, I think there's many things that go in there. The storyline going really into it is weak because Asuka's just a catalyst. What I think is a catalyst to Sasha and Bayley, which is ultimately what we've been waiting for, but they just have never pulled the trigger. And hopefully, this is what we're getting into. But I think the storyline was poorly written. I just think that the two, Bayley and Asuka, don't mesh. They don't mesh as much for me. Like, I don't know. They're not into it. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not a professional wrestler, and I don't know how much being in an empty arena affects your ability to do your job.
Well, if you hear amongst many interviews, a lot of wrestlers have said, yes, it does have, a major effect because that's what they're trained to do, is listen to the audience and go based on what's happening at that point. But by the same token, they have to adapt.
No, and I definitely agree they have to adapt, and I understand this whole idea of, like, how do they get better, or how do they know what they're doing is working or not working if you don't have that fan support to, if they're booing or, like, not paying attention or, they're cheering, you're doing something. I know that's where they're able to build a better match. So I don't know how much we can say it's possibly, there's got to be a small percentage we say, without the fans there, that this match, there would have been live fans there, this match might have been a little better because they might have been able to feed off the fans and get the fans involved, energize it, and I guess that's what I missed, is I don't feel energized. I don't feel like invested. I don't feel like you're drawing me in. You're not giving me anything to say, oh, this is a really good match, or I'm really interested. It was just kind of a lackluster match with a very, very lackluster finish, the schoolboy roll-up. There wasn't it was a clean, semi-clean. I mean, she bumped, there was the distractions, so I can't say it was perfectly a clean pin, but it was still just very lackluster for everything that been building to it. A dirty pin probably would have been better. In some form or fashion.
I think we were also expecting that.
Yeah.
Just because it's a heel Bayley.
Yeah. No, I would think we need more. So Bayley wins. She goes on with the Women's SmackDown Championship, and she lives about another day. And it looks like they're going to have Sasha and Bayley defend the Women's Tag Team titles at Payback next Sunday. First time we're ever having WWE put two pay-per-views on back-to-back weekends. So from there we went into the Raw Tag Team Championships, the Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza, which is really interesting. The SmackDown Championships are with Shinsuke and Cesaro, and I think they just defended them on SmackDown, and Jeff Hardy beat AJ Styles on SmackDown for the Intercontinental title, which was interesting why you wouldn't have that match here at SummerSlam.
I think they were trying to boost the ratings.
Yeah.
So I think that's what that was about.
No, I'm sure they were. So we had the Street Profits, Montez Ford and
Angelo Dawkins.
Angelo Dawkins, yes, against Andrade and Angel Garza. It was nothing to really get excited about. I don't think it really did anything for anybody. The only thing that was in there was Angel Garza was on the ropes with Selena Vega behind him, and then Montez Ford ran into Angel Garza, ducked out of the way, and he hit Selena Vega, knocked her down, and then Andrade went over there. And so that was the confusion, yeah. As it says, Andrade back up, Ford came back with a huge crossbody, but moments later he ran into Selena Vega, who was knocked off the ring apron. Garza bumped Vega, knocking her to the floor. Okay. And Andrade attended her. The confusion allowed the Profits hit the cash out for the win. And that's kind of the wrap there. So the Street Profits win. In another, I guess, Andrade Garza.
Back to the drawing board.
Split? Are they going to split them? I mean, they've been teasing the split. I don't know.
Right now, I think they're so much better together than they are apart. For the moment.
Well, I think they're so much together because it gives them something to do. Otherwise, you're not doing anything with them. I mean, I think they killed Andrade when he came over. He came to the main roster, had a lot of impact. Was going to be something special. I think they brought up Garza too soon for NXT. I don't think Garza had enough exposure yet on that main. Like, he had just been getting into that main spotlight in NXT. So I think he could have benefited from it. But then against the Street Profits, I don't think this helped either team. I don't think there was any benefit. I don't see any further storyline other than maybe they break up Garza and Andrade. But I mean, it was kind of a throwaway match. It wasn't like anything to write home about.
The Profits wanted the smoke. They got it. They retained the titles. Next.
Yeah. So next we had the no disqualification. Loser leaves WWE, which was supposed to be a no hair or a
Hair versus hair
match, which got changed on Friday.
That's the way I understand it from the clip I watched of SmackDown.
So for whatever reason, I don't know if I caught all of why they changed that, but now
they didn't really explain why. Just Sonya Deville wanted to up the ante, and that's what she threw out there.
So Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville, no disqualification. Loser leaves WWE. Loser leaves WWE. So I'm questioning why they chose loser leaves WWE, because normally they use the brand. So this match again was just so underwhelming. I mean, I get they're best friends, but they should have been able to do more. They were both overly cautious, I felt like they weren't really putting themselves into it. Sonya Deville, I mean, I think she's got talent. She needs a couple more good moves, but if she's a heel, and this is the heel that they want to present to me, and she's supposed to be this badass fighter, I need to see her get more angry. I need to see her get more vicious. I mean, there's got to be this streak, like you're mad because Mandy abandoned you, but I don't see where's the anger or rage that should be there in her.
When she first turned on Mandy, you did actually see that rage, but if you were just to judge it by tonight's performance, it just wasn't there. I don't know.
In the beginning, yeah, she had it, but it hasn't carried on. She's not bringing that through, and that's what the key is. I mean, you can't. And they just look like two people going out there having a little, and I'm like, no, you two should be hating and mad at each other. Get into it. In the end, Mandy Rose, was this another one of those weird, this is where she, what was it? Runs back there. She made a comeback before placing the bill previously instead of stab. Oh, there's the one spot where Mandy Rose put Sonya Deville on the table and then climbed up on the apron and Sonya Deville just rolled off. I totally lost everything there. It killed me. So I'm like, there was no sense in that, because I mean, if you're the heel, why not lay on the table until the very last second? If you're awake, you know you're going to be awake. Why wouldn't you wait for the other person to come off the ropes or do whatever they're going to do? So they go through the table, entering them. I mean, it just seemed like, I don't know.
You would think you would use every weapon available to you, and that definitely would be one. A major one. But then again, that's also just as ludicrous when they're throwing chairs through the table.
Oh yeah, then after that, she sliding like it's a bar table, like they're shooting glasses down at you through two chairs
across the
table, and Deville, dodged them, and they didn't follow anything up with that. I thought Deville picked up the chair, went after her. It was like, what? I mean, it was totally like, what was the point in doing that at all? I'm looking here, trying to see. Well, out of the way. Rose drove a series of running knees into Deville's face before scaling the pin, and that was true. I mean, she hit a knee, and then she got up, and I think she did something else. I forget exactly, but then she came back with another knee, and then it was like 1, 2, 3 again. Another very out of nowhere, very lackluster pin. I wasn't.
Tonight has been the lackluster. Night of lackluster.
No, it was not a very good knee to the face. I think they were trying to get that really big pop knee, and it never hit. And it was disappointing. In the very beginning, she tried to hit that knee, and then Sonya Deville grabbed her, and that whole botch in the very start of it just made the whole thing look bad from the get-go.
Well, basically, they need to come from the book of Kenny Omega when trying to pop a knee.
Oh yeah, that was in Bailey's match. After she won, she broke out the broom and was going to sweep up. So Sonya Deville is now out of WWE. She's gone from WWE. She lost the match and she's gone from WWE. What does that mean? I don't know, because they say WWE. So is she leaving WWE? Is she taking time off from WWE and going to go away? Is she going to go to another brand? Being honest, so she needs to go back to NXT. Afterwards, her temper that
was so fake.
Oh God, Sonya, you need some more acting lessons. No offense, but I think you need some more acting lessons. That acting was just terrible. I'm sorry, I mean, it just wasn't there.
I can just easily see her coming back. Whenever they finally unveil who Retribution is, I can see her being a part of that. just as a way of bringing her back in.
Out, they do part of it.
Hey, whether it's a good idea or not, I'm not saying. I'm just saying I can see it happening.
Yeah, no, I can feel you. And then they really then they took the ending also as Sonya Deville's walking out, they crying, which was just horrible. And then they had Mandy Rose in the ring with Otis, because Otis came running down. He did the caterpillar, and then they tried to have, I don't know what Mandy Rose was doing. I'm assuming she was trying to do the caterpillar, but she could not do it.
Yeah.
She tried 3 or 4 times to do the caterpillar in the ring and failed horribly, making her look
Epic fail.
Oh, it was horrible. It just made it look bad. It made it look stupid. Like, why would you even attempt that if you can't do it? And I have to say, they had her practice this before. They don't just shout, here, do the caterpillar all of a sudden, out of the blue. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe Vince sent down Otis, go down there, pal, tell her to do the caterpillar with you. And he's like, yeah, do the caterpillar. And she's like, okay. I mean, that was the only reason I would think was that was spontaneous to fill time, because her match was too short. Otherwise, I would have to assume they've had that discussion about her doing it before and that she would have practiced it, then realize she couldn't do it, and why should we go out there and be I don't know. She looked like a fish out of water more than anything. It was not. It didn't benefit her, didn't help her anyway. It was not a good look. Anything else you want to add to that match?
No, that's done.
And we'll wipe our hands of that one and let it be. Next up, we had the Dominic Mysterio versus Seth Rollins in the street fight. So we had Dominic Mysterio's debut in wrestling and WWE. So, theme song, quite good.
That's pretty good.
His
attire?
His attire was pretty cool. Now, I give it to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins was wearing a mock-up of Seth Rollins gear, but with all the Mysterio stuff on it. It had the question marks, and it was done in a purple, which would have been the retro, WCW days, maybe Rey Mysterio, which would have been a younger Rey Mysterio. So I don't know if there was some type of thought pattern in him. Yes, I think there was a lot of subliminal where he wasn't just mocking Rey, but young Rey. So this is young Rey, his son, trying to put the whole mockery on that. End of the day, this match, Dominic did show he's there. He's definitely can put on a decent match. He's with one of the better guys, which is key important. I mean, Seth Rollins can make a lot of people look at. Can't say anybody. There's a few matches where he just can't get people over. I mean, there's a lot of people who can't get Roman Reigns over. So,
but for this generation, I would even call him this generation's Flair, because he can't get almost anyone over.
And don't get that man an ego by that. No, not fair.
I said this generation's Flair, not
as
good as Ric Flair.
Anyway, you're comparing him to Flair, that's going to give that man an ego.
And
oh wait, sorry, you're right. But anyways,
he's literally got a Messiah complex.
Yeah, I wonder where we've seen that one before. CM Punk confirmed. Hey, I just do it at some point in some of this stuff. Anyways, it was a decent match. I mean, they went back and forth. The story they were kind of telling with Mysterio not being involved and watch his son get beat up, and then Mama Bear coming out. I still would love Mama Bear to go attack Seth Rollins or something, get involved. I think that would have been a little more heat.
You're right, it would have been more heat, but because she doesn't train, she has nothing to do with the business outside of being married into the business.
Yes. So overall, it was a decent match. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's Dominic's first match.
And let's also think about it this way. He's only been trained for, a few good years. I think he did well.
No, yeah.
For what his training is, from what, these different interviews that Rey Mysterio said, here's how far Dominic has come so far. He's doing really good.
Yeah.
He's only going to get better.
No, it's definitely a wait and see how it all plays in. Other than that, the ending was kind of Rey Mysterio handcuffed to the ring. Seth Rollins finally, put the end to Dominic, hit him with the curb stomp. 1, 2, 3. Wasn't what I was expecting. I definitely thought they were going to let Dominic go over, but I guess what we're setting up here, and I guess this is one time they're actually trying to build a slight storyline. It's definitely a tag team match. I guess Payback in a week from now, we're going to see the Rey and Dominic tag, which has been something I think they've talked about for a while.
Rey has definitely wanted to tag with his son.
Yeah. So I think
now this is not official.
No,
we'll probably
no,
find
no.
out. No,
We'll find out tomorrow. I don't know all that's going to happen there, but I think what I got from tonight's match, it really did set up an opportunity for Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy to tag up against Rey Mysterio and Dominic and go from there. How that plays out, I don't know. I mean, I could write a storyline where you basically have them go into the tag team match, Mysterio and Dominic win the tag team match, and then you take in, going into September, you have Seth Rollins take out Rey Mysterio, like, take him out, you gotta take him out of the picture. There's only like a couple of directions I think they could go with this. They're either going to take Mysterio and boost Dominic off of that and send him down that face trail, or you have the ultimate betrayal of Dominic turning on his father and doing this whole entire living in your spotlight. Unless he's going to come out and go, Eddie really was my daddy. But, again, I digress. I think there's one of two ways here. You can either continue the storyline as it is, you have him tag up, you have Seth Rollins, and then after that you either have Seth Rollins or a mystery person take out Rey. Like, just completely take him out, put him out on the shelf for several months. I mean, you got to have him out, and you can either have that as a Seth, one of his guys doing it, or you can have Dominic actually do that and have this thing later when you decide to bring Rey back, because you got to take him out of the, I mean, right now, take Rey out, let him go away, and then come back later for Dominic. I mean, ultimately, I think you go even in the SummerSlam, or not SummerSlam, Survivor Series. I think if you go into Survivor Series and have a 4-on-4 traditional 5-on-5 if you want to, but I think 4-on-4.
4-on-4 would be better.
Because you can do Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy,
and
the AOP tag up, and then you can have Dominic tag with Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens, because they've already had their issue with Seth Rollins. Easy to plug him in there. And then you have the opening position there for a mystery partner. And that mystery partner, I think you can sell it well enough by itself that it will be, everybody's going to think Rey's going to return. You could have Rey return in that spot, and still, like, at the end of the night, you could have Dominic and Rey would be the last two standing there and have Dominic turn on him. Or you find somebody else that you can bring in that spot. Now, I have my own sources. I mean, I think there's somebody they can bring back, but that's a whole nother podcast and storyline we'll go into. So, Seth Rollins beats Dominic Toretto. Not Dominic Toretto. God, I knew I was going to do that well. Dominic Mysterio. Oh, anything else you want to add to that? Now that I just freaking shot myself in the knees like, Dominic Toretto. Thank you, Vin Diesel.
The Ghost of Brian might come back in.
Yes. Paul Walker. So.
That's that. On to the next match.
Alright, then we had the Sasha Banks Asuka match, which I think was pretty much foreshadowed. I think once we saw Bayley beat Asuka, I think it was pretty much foreshadowed that Asuka. Well, and then after the beatdown, because Sasha Banks got in the ring beatdown.
And beat down Asuka.
Asuka after the match, but I think we all do, and anybody who, we can be called smart marks if we want to run. I don't even think you have to be a smart mark in that sense to see that foreshadowing.
If you pay attention to typical WWE booking, again, you don't have to be a smart mark, just pay attention to the patterns.
So, and you're right, because you brought up the important point that Asuka can win the title at the big moments. Sasha can win the title at the big moments, but can never retain the title at the big moments. That she has this pattern of always losing the title. And going back to the Bayley match, going with what we're thinking that, they're going to turn Bayley and Bayley and Sasha on one another and eventually have them feud for the SmackDown Women's Championship. You kind of had to perceive that Sasha was going to lose. I mean, everything pointed to Sasha losing. And again, in a basic, they rolled over near Bayley, but Bayley got knocked by Asuka, and then Asuka locked back in the Asuka lock, and there was no saving Sasha at that point, and Sasha eventually tapped out. Again, another lackluster match that I felt that could have been more. I was already ready for what was going to happen. We saw her in the Asuka lock too many times. At the end, there was 3 or 4 times. She kept whining back, and then you're just like, it's done.
Tap, tap, tap.
And Sasha tapped, Sasha boo-hooed, and Sasha needs to go teach Sonya Deville how to boo-hoo. That's for sure. And it was none of this heartening match. Like, there was so much build there, and there could have so much more. And why, I don't know. It just wasn't there. I didn't feel it again. I don't know. And when you have the same person fighting two people for titles on the same night, you're kind of like, yeah. It was inevitable, and Asuka winning was what we all saw coming, so I guess that just takes away from it, because I wanted to glimmer of hope, and I think this is what hurts me in wrestling is creative doesn't give you any belief that the outside possibility could happen. Again, SummerSlam, you won't see it coming, and it pisses me off to no end to hear them try to sell a tagline, you'll never see it coming, but they can't write anything like that. They can't take us to that place of like, oh, we know what's going to happen, this is going to happen, and then give us a nice swerve. It's just like...
There's but one thing we didn't see coming, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Right. Yeah, and then, you know, swerves, there's good swerves, there's bad swerves. I'm not talking about all the swerves, but we still need those moments where, you know, you've got to take us to the edge and make us still believe, whether we already know what's going to happen or not, you still got to be able to pull us back in and go, okay, yeah, I think she's going to win, but oh, you know... And that comes down to the creative team and the wrestlers building that story in the ring. If they can't tell that story back and forth and give us some slight disbelief, give us that illusion. I think that's what's killed wrestling is everybody knows it's not, you know, it's
predetermined.
It's yeah, but they used to be able to suspend the disbelief, like you couldn't tell. I mean, that's what made the NWO so hot. When the NWO first come on, you didn't know if they were really there as WCW guys, if they were outsider guys, what was going on, who they were really hurting. And that's what makes wrestling great, is not knowing, assuming you know everything, but the ability for the promoters and the creative team to still pull the wool over eyes and just go, oh.
Well, the thing is, the NWO did it so well, they got lawsuits against them. But that's going on another tangent.
So, then we moved into the Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton WWE Championship match. A lot of speculation here that Orton was going to win his 14th title. They rebuilt him as the Legend Killer. They let him run through, you know, he took out Edge, he took out Christian, he took out the Big Show, he took out Ric Flair, he took out Shawn Michaels. Which none of that makes sense. I mean, the Edge and Christian in the beginning, I got it, and Edge is injured, so I guess they can continue that storyline right now, so that's kind of on the back burner. I get why they brought Ric Flair back in a way, and why he needed to punt him, but the Big Show and Shawn, like, it just, I think it would have been more meaningful if they would have used Triple H instead of Shawn Michaels. Triple H would have came out, because, hey, you punted Ric Flair, that's my best friend, that's my buddy, what the hell are you thinking? You know, I helped you get here, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and then let him kick Triple H upside the head. More value for your buck there. Shawn Michaels and Randy Orton, I know they've had matches, but they don't have a...
They don't have the same history.
No. Just because Shawn Michaels respects Ric Flair, I get that, but I mean, I don't know. So anyways, this was another back and forth match. It was two big boys going back and forth. Not a lot of close finishes. Not a lot of false falls. Not a lot of, you know, going for their finishing maneuvers. Yeah, we had Orton trying to get the punt, didn't work. And then we had Drew McIntyre knock him down, go into the corner, set up for the Claymore. Orton dumped, he went, or ducked, and Drew McIntyre flew over him. I mean, he jumped. The sad part was that timing was a bit off, because by the time Orton was down, Drew was still moving, and then he jumped and went over him. Like, I don't know if there was some intimidation there or if the timing was off, but he could have still, like, stopped and not, like, jumped over him, because Randy Orton was up here, and then as he was running, Orton was here. Just, I mean, there's no way. I mean, that clearance, he jumped over him. It was kind of, and so then he got back up pretty quickly, and Orton went for an RKO. He pushed Orton off. Thought we were going to see Claymore, but no, we got a backslide for 1, 2, 3, which was horrible. Which just killed it for me. Like, anything that would have been good in that match would have just been like...
They did leave It did go with the tagline, "You'll never see it coming," because we never saw that coming.
No, we
As
never
a finish.
saw that coming, and I don't know if that leads to another Randy Orton opportunity against Drew McIntyre, because
I won't be surprised.
he was doing his like he was smiling, like he was giving this whole like "I had you" type of vibe was like getting. So I don't know if he'll come out tomorrow night on Raw and be like, "Oh, I almost had you. You got lucky. You know, you barely beat me, but I almost had you." And there's no line. If you want to go flashback, since I had to throw out Dominic Toretto, "You never had me." There's a great line for Drew to be like, "You never had me. You didn't even have yourself." Anyways, it was just a defeat. It was a defeat. It was a defeated finish. Like, I felt defeated myself. Like when I'm like, he schoolboyed him, or not schoolboyed, but he backslid him into a 1, 2, 3. Like Orton let himself get in that position. It was like, these are two big main event guys, and that's how you're finishing.
He's also deflated over that.
It sucked the wind out of me. Like, it was there a little bit. I mean, but I'm like, they have two powerful impacting finishers that really can come out of nowhere, the Claymore and the RKO, and neither of them got it off, which is fine, but the finish just was lackluster. I mean, I'd rather have seen maybe a count out and then continue the story, double count out or something. Hell, Orton could have gone full on, like punted him and then gotten in a chair and just beat him down. Lost by IQ, and still could have came back and said, "Hey, I beat your butt," and we had a rematch. But to just have him push off the, he didn't really push out of the RKO. Like, he pushed him on the RKO, grabbed his arm, and like came down in this nice, it was a nice flow, but it was like a school or a backslide. I always want to say school. I know it's not school, but backslide. And then this, I guess I was caught off guard because I was not expecting 1, 2, 3 like that.
Because we're so conditioned for, especially on a backslide, to be kicked out of.
Well, these are two guys having the thought that would have been pinned that easily. I mean, it's just not a move that I would buy into for an Orton or a Drew McIntyre to fall victim to and go 1, 2, 3. No, the ref didn't count that match.
If it was a fast count, it would have made sense. If the physical story would have been better told before backslide, then I could have seen it.
Well,
but just the way it was actually put together.
Yeah, it's not like Orton's hands had been worked on, or there was some weak point that backside was, a hindrance to Orton. Like, they didn't work over the arms, they didn't work over something to say, oh, it was just like backside 1, 2, 3, done, and it was just kind of like, okay. Boop. So then we come to the end of the night. We have the Braun Strowman as Universal Champion defending his title against Fiend Bray Wyatt. The two big behemoths. They fought all over the place. They beat up each other, but for their characters, it was just boring. And then Strowman grabbed the box knife, started cutting out the ring, exposed the board, exposed the padding. Was going to go for a move. I'll say the Uranage from Bray Wyatt looked nice. That first move where he grabbed it, slammed into it, looked nice. And then hit him with 2 Sister Abigails on the hard thing, and then 1, 2, 3, we have a new Universal Champion, Bray Wyatt. And again, it was one of those, like, I get that Wood was exposed, but I still felt like it was just, we were cheated. It was sort of like, these guys should have been tearing each other apart and tearing everything down. Like, they should have torn up the whole ring underneath that. And the fact that, Braun Strowman took like 4 spears from Goldberg, but he hits the hardwood on the floor a couple times and he's done.
There was just no emotional impact.
No.
That's the main issue.
No, they weren't. Braun Strowman didn't come out like the monster he'd been claiming to be for the last few weeks. Bray Wyatt's the theme. I think he kind of let himself go. Yes, I'm saying he looked a little on the chubbier end, like he's not been keeping up with his regimen. He was big for a little bit, but tonight he just kind of like, and the whole match was kind of like they weren't into it. Like, I didn't buy that they were feeling it or anything. And maybe they were both pissed off because what happened at the end of this match was the only thing that I could say was their whole tagline, what WWE sold you for weeks, was this: you'll never see it coming. If this is what they tried to sell us, this is total bullshit. In a sense, I mean, the fact of the matter, Roman Reigns came flying out of nowhere. I mean, he came flying I don't know if, like, the angle I saw looked like he came flying through the ropes and speared, but I'm sure he came in the ring and then he speared the Fiend real quick. And he looked angry, he looked pissed off, which is, you know, the Roman Reigns I like to see. And then he went out and he stared down Braun, and then he went outside the ring and hit Braun, and you could see that coming. He went out and hit Braun with a spear, and then he beat the snot out of him with a chair, and then he went back in and I think hit the Fiend with another spear. And he went out very wide and posed with the, oh yeah, then he started punching on him. He wailed on him too. But that's what they were selling. You remember see coming was the return of Roman Reigns. I'm like, but here's the catch. He attacked both Fiend and both Braun Strowman. So where does he fall? Because like even in the Braun Strowman Fiend, it's kind of like, I don't even know who's face or heel in that anymore, because it almost seemed like they were turning Braun heel, Bray Wyatt the Fiend face.
But see, that was with the addition of Alexa Bliss.
Yes, which they didn't have anything to do with Alexa Bliss time.
That's so nice. Just ask me what you'd like me to do.
Sorry
and
about
I'll try my
Alexa.
best to help.
Shut up.
So let's call her Bliss.
Bliss.
So that doesn't happen.
So Bliss wasn't there. She was not involved in any of this. After 2 weeks of storyline, Braun throwing her almost out of the ring, her having this weird connection with the Fiend's, you know, taking her out. Nikki Cross going out, oh, she's changed, she's not the same. And you don't have her show up at SummerSlam in any shape or form. You don't give us Sister Abigail formation. You don't have her come down. There was nothing. It's like, what were the last 2 weeks, or 2 or 3 weeks, whatever it's been? Like, what was that for? What was the purpose of any of that? I mean, is that, are you just trying to draw attention and say, oh, look how vital this view, this everybody watch to see? And that's what it was. I think we're all set up. They were bringing Alexa Bliss in as the candy to say, here, you want to watch SummerSlam because you don't know what's going to happen with Alexa Bliss. She's going to become Sister Abigail. Just so they'll have all eyes on that match to bring back Roman Reigns.
It's not surprising if that was the actual goal.
I don't know. It was a joke in itself. I mean, I don't know what Roman Reigns is. He looked pissed off. He looked mad. I didn't catch everything he was saying, but he looked like Roman Reigns, and I think it's a good character, more of his natural pissed off, winning the fight. But I don't know where he falls. If he's coming back heel, and we're giving the fans what they've been letting, yeah, great. What was his shock? I forgot what his shirt said. He had a good shirt on that made me feel like he destroy everything and leave. I think is what it said. Destroy everything and leave is what I think it said, if I remember correctly. And that's what he did. Came in, destroyed everything, and he left. And he left through what would be the audience. He didn't go up the ramp or anything. So you said he could be possibly, you know, no facts, no source.
This is all just
facts.
speculation.
Maybe he's the leader of Retribution.
And I'm just saying, it's a possibility.
It could be.
Would Vince actually go with it? Who knows? Because we know Vince loves him some Roman Reigns just by himself. But since we have no clue who's actually going to be Retribution, everyone's a possibility. Even the people who come out and beat down Retribution at this point.
CM Punk. Anywho, it's hard to say. I don't know. I have to see what happens tomorrow with Reigns, because I'm sure he's going to come out and have something to say. If he's going heel, I think we're going to get different Reigns, which would be nice, and maybe let him be true Reigns, true Roman, true instead of this sort of charming baby face and say, yeah, hey kid, ganks me. I'm like, yeah, he's got some talent. I don't think he's...
Although I do think you mean Friday, not Monday.
Oh yeah, it's going to be Friday,
SmackDown.
damn it. Yeah, that's SmackDown. And you know what I mean. So he'll come out on Friday. We'll see what happens on Friday. Hopefully he'll give some type of great interview that'll kind of lead us down some path, or he'll just chew out everybody, say you all suck, and hopefully we just get a heel Roman Reigns. If not, we're going to get our babyface Roman Reigns. The only thing I can see this coming is either next week on Payback, right? Payback?
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever the next pay-per-view is follow, depending on how they do this. I'm going to assume we're going to get the Fiend versus Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns triple threat match, just so we can put the title back on Roman, since he didn't get it at WrestleMania away from Goldberg. That's what it's going to be. Son of a horse's truck. Here's how it's going to play out. Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman versus The Fiend for the Universal title, right? Roman Reigns is going to be able to go into that match and pin Braun Strowman, so they don't pin the Fiend. They don't really hurt the Fiend in that match. Roman Reigns becomes Universal Champion. He goes into son of a biscuit cow. That means that right now, storyline-wise, if rumors are to be true, let's say if Randy Orton fights Drew McIntyre again and wins the title, we know Randy Orton Edge is kind of the idea of what they want to present in next year's WrestleMania.
That's speculation.
So the speculation's there, and they want to have the world title in that, or the WWE title in that picture. Randy Orton going in as the champion, Edge competing against him. Give that Edge. See, basically what I'm saying is when Edge retired, he had the title, he had to give it up, he had to surrender it, he never really lost it. So they're trying to bring this full circle, which is, you know, an interesting storyline. Why give it to Randy Orton Edge when they really don't need it? I don't know. So you have to give Edge and Randy Orton at WrestleMania the WWE Championship. Now the other side, Roman Reigns, Universal Champion. He beats Braun Strowman. Doesn't hurt the Fiend character. He goes on later this year. Probably refights the Fiend or Braun Strowman or something. A couple matches here or there. We go into Rumble. There's only going to be two people right now. If the storylines are to be believed, and the way things are looking, the picture that's being painted, there's going to be. We're looking at maybe two possibilities of winning the Royal Rumble. Edge. Are you ready for this? People are going to hate me when I say this. There's somebody under contract with WWE for 2 more years. And he can have 2 matches a year. Edge or Goldberg. BS! BS! All so they can get Roman Reigns and Goldberg back to WrestleMania for the title.
It's a sad and unfortunate event that I can actually see that.
And you know what? I believe you $100 what they're going to do. If that's what they're aiming for, I bet you what they're going to do, because the only way this is going to play out, because Goldberg is not the one that really, like, he did okay doing it this time. He accepted it a little bit, being the heel, because he was kind of the heel in that match. But Goldberg doesn't like being the heel. Goldberg likes being the superhero.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got to take Roman in the WrestleMania heel, which is fine. I like to see him heel against the face Goldberg. So that leaves you, if storyline are to believe, or the way things are going to wrap around, is Edge or Goldberg are going to win the Royal Rumble. Edge just won it. So do you give Edge another Royal Rumble victory, or do you give it to Goldberg?
If I have to choose between the two, I'm going with Edge. But I also actually prefer someone else completely.
Well, I mean, yeah, I love somebody else completely, but if we're painting the picture like I'm seeing, and because they didn't get Goldberg and Roman Reigns at this year's WrestleMania, which is supposed to be the bigger deal, I can see them. That's what they're shooting for, because they still have Goldberg under contract, and he gets 2 matches a year.
Please let it be Edge. Please let it be Edge.
Well, and they could just have Goldberg show up after the Rumble and challenge Reigns, and then give him this one match at Mania and then save him for some other time next year, maybe. Or they can, you know, it's a minimum of 2 matches. Doesn't mean that Goldberg can't do more for a little extra money. And Goldberg having all the creative control, if he's going to fight Roman Reigns, I think Goldberg's going to want to be face, want to be the baby face, wants to be the superhero, because he'll say that and go out the podcast, and I have nothing against Goldberg. Goldberg, like me, is from Oklahoma, it's Folsom, you know, I love that. But I know Goldberg well enough in all his interviews that his big thing is about being the babyface. I think there was a match he recently talked on the podcast. He had a match in WCW where there was a Make-A-Wish kid in the back, and he went out and was, when he did his first heel, he went against Hacksaw, and he took down Hacksaw, beat Hacksaw, and went in the back, and this girl, as I recall, this girl was crying, boo-hooing. He said, nope, never going to do it again. That's when he quit his heel turn. So he was going to get behind it, but then he made the news like, no, I'm a real superhero. I'm doing this for the kids. So if that's being said, and that is Goldberg's mentality, and that's fine. I'm not dissing Goldberg or trying to put down Goldberg. That's what he wants to do, and that's how he sees fit, and that's the terms of how he wants to wrestle. Then that's how that has to go. That may be why we saw Roman Reigns in the way he is. Could change. Maybe far-fetched ambition here, but
Goldberg does what's best of his best interest, but not necessarily what's best for business.
okay, how many people do what's best for business anymore? Hell, Vincent Kennedy McMahon doesn't even do what's best for business. If you want to get on the best of business scandal, he doesn't even give the best of what's best for business. Oh, I know he's either senile, over the hill, or you just want. If you feel like you're not being screwed over by Vince, like I don't know what to tell you because Vince is just giving crap.
Well, then again, we've been complaining about WWE booking for the last 15 years, so.
Well, yeah, but it's just gotten worse and worse because I mean I don't know how to buy into NXT having all these stars, building these guys up. These guys are amazing. They're doing all their talent. They get to do their moves. They get to build their character, develop themselves. Then they get called up, promoted, demoted. However you want to put it. Some people will say it's a promotion to the main roster. Some people will say it's a demotion to the main roster. And you bring them on the main roster and just sink them. I mean, I can count. Finn Balor, Sami Zayn, Bobby Roode, Shinsuke Nakamura, Kevin Owens, you can kind of say he had a decent, he's kind of up and down.
Yeah.
Cesaro, now Rusev. Rusev never got his chance, and I mean, they bring these guys up. I mean, Andrade was there, and he's never been really given his opportunity there. Everybody comes from NXT, he comes up, and now the breaking news is we found it at SummerSlam. Everybody knows last night was NXT Takeover 30, and Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross, and we call him Killian Cross, but somebody might get mad at me. Impact. Anyways, Karrion Kross beat Keith Lee, and Keith Lee just recently beat Adam Cole for that title. Like, he didn't hold that title very long.
No.
And now we know why. Because he's coming up to the Raw roster. So he'll be on Monday Night Raw tomorrow night. Keith Lee making, well, not really his, well, I guess it'll be his Raw debut. He was in the Rumble.
Series.
Yeah. So it's, we'll see what happens with Keith Lee. But he's a bigger boy, and Vince kind of like that, so maybe it's a better chance to not face the
man likes big, sweaty men. Take a.
I'm just kidding. I'm big, hot, sweaty, but not hairy. Oh, Roman, where art thou, Roman?
Oh, Lord.
So, we're at 53 minutes here, reviewing SummerSlam. I think overall, the set, the Thunderdome.
Aesthetics was great.
Yeah, the entrances were amazing. I really like Cesaro's on SmackDown with all his numbers and his lights flying through that thing. It's really cool. I just forget that connecting to Cesaro. Like, some of the Cesaro's entrances, I don't get what the connection to his interests. Like, right now they have all those zeros and green things floating in the air that are coming at you from all over the place. I'm like, what's that have to do with Cesaro? Like, what?
Is he the Matrix fighter?
I know, like the Swiss Superman or the Swiss Masonry, I don't know. I just feel like it hinders him sometimes. But anyway, SummerSlam overall, I don't think it did anything beneficial for anybody. I don't think it helped. I mean, yeah, there's opportunities for storylines. That's also because I can take out the box and try to figure out maybe where they want to go and hoping that's where they're going, but I don't think it did anything great. Like, I just feel like we had SummerSlam and everything's still where we were before SummerSlam.
Plus, with the pay-per-view just a week away,
Yeah,
I don't think they went balls to the walls for it.
But it's SummerSlam, it's the biggest party of the year. It's one of the big four. They need to go balls to the wall. That's just a matter of fact. You have 4 major pay-per-views that you started with. I think SummerSlam was.
Don't care about the order. The point is WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble. Those are your 4.
Those are your 4. And I mean, you could do just the 4 every year. You don't even have to have the monthly pay-per-view value if you build correctly. You at least your big 4. But when you flush the big 4 like this, where you don't end a storyline, or you don't continue a storyline that you just leave everything kind of up in the air, like what? I don't know.
If there's no intrigue to it, there's no interest.
There's no desire to follow up. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't care what happens to Sonya Deville. She's out of WWE. What that means, I don't know. If she's going to go away for a while, come back, and she'll come back to Retribution, and she'll go over to Raw, she'll go back to NXT. It didn't do anything, and it didn't help Mandy Rose. Like, what's Mandy Rose going to do now? Go hang out with Otis?
Oh, because she already does that. That's this.
Yeah, why I don't know either. I mean, this doesn't make sense. Why is Mandy Rose with Mandy Rose with Otis? Why is Otis money in the bank holding on to money in the bank? And why is anything like this that totally doesn't make sense? It looks like they really just said, we don't know who to have with the money in the bank. Let's go. Any, mo. Oh, I guess it's Otis. Dad or Vince McMahon's like, yes, I like when the fat man wiggles on the ground. It makes me so happy. Yes. You got a better explanation on why Otis? Otis, out of everybody else in that match, Otis is carrying around the money in the bank. The only thing I can really hope and pray is that he gets smart and somewhere down the line, him and Tucker take that money in the bank briefcase and cash it in for the Raw Tag Team or the Raw or SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Now, because we've always been painted that it's for a world title. Mm-hmm. It's always for a world title. So we envision.
And that's what they say typically.
That's what they say, but they haven't really said anything. Well, Sam also kind of dropped it, but why can't it be like, this is the belt? It's a money in the bank for the belt contract. Mm-hmm. So what is there to say he doesn't want to go with his tag team partner and get a chance to go in and get the tag team belt? Are we really going to buy into him that he's going to win the world title?
Not at this point.
So it's a throwaway. So what is he, I mean, where do you throw him in to throw away that money in the briefcase? I mean, when, who? Is he going to cash in on the, always do? Go cash on in on Queen now? Or is he going to get hidey mighty and be like, I'm Destiny, not Roman? Like, who's he going to go cash it in on? Drew McIntyre? Like,
Way more cake done.
Like, there's no, this is for WWE here to themselves, there's no rationality. It didn't do anything with SummerSlam to progress anything. They have Otis come out after Mandy's match. The man carrying the money in the bank wasn't even on the pay-per-view. Like, I don't even recall the last time he was on, like, in a match since him, The Miz, and Morrison were messing with all that and Sonya Deville. And then they went from the whole group to just Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, which is fine. I mean, I can see where storylines lead there, but you can play, I mean, now Otis is just... But, oh, it's Mandy Rose singing, I found myself a cheerleader. All right. Do we want to wrap up, or... So, unfortunately, I think we wanted to do more, but we've gone to about an hour's time here. So I think we're just going to wrap this up with this being a SummerSlam review. Get this up and posted for you all to watch. So this has been the Value of Wrestling podcast. I'm the Big Time Beach Bowman, my tag team partner,
Hollis Clark.
and we thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell for your notifications and give us a thumbs up if you liked it. And we hope to come back on a weekly basis and give a lot of something. I don't know.
Content coming out.
We're going to give you more content, the best content for your value. Thank you for watching.